Hi, welcome to another stream where I will continue to build on my ecom app, where I using Xamarin and Blazor to build a native mobile app using Blazor Mobile Bindings that currently are in preview. I have done 5 episodes before, and all of them are published on my YouTube channel. So if you want to take a look what I have did earlier in my streams, you can go to YouTube and search for App in the Cloud and you will find them. You can also search for my name. But before we start today, I want us to take a look at an interesting blog post that was published on the .NET blog yesterday. And that means that we have the first preview of .NET 6. The .NET 6 that will be the big unifying of .NET. .NET 5 should be it, as they said before, but .NET 5 was just the first step of unifying .NET. In .NET 6 we will have unifying between Xamarin and .NET, so everything will be .NET. After that, Xamarin will not be there anymore with the name Xamarin. But now we have the first preview of .NET 6. I installed it yesterday, uninstalled it today because of some problem with my version of Visual Studio for Mac. But as I have understand it, if I had installed the preview version of Visual Studio, I would be able to use it. But I don't have time to do that because I'm using it to write production code for my clients, and I don't want to do that just an hour before this stream either. But there are some interesting stuff here we can read about the unification, extending. We will be able to use .NET New Android, .NET Run even with the Xamarin, or .NET Android and .NET iOS, .NET Mac is the new names for it. We can see the framework monikers here somewhere in the blog post as well. But what will be supported in .NET 6 is we will have Android, iOS, Mac, and Mac Catalyst for x86 and Apple Silicon M1. We will have support for Windows ARM64. That's great. And then we of course will have .NET MAUI, the next version of Xamarin Forms. So you should be able to run some mobile stuff on .NET 6. If you go to this GitHub page, you can read more about it. It's basically Xamarin Forms running on .NET 6, but it's a good start. So you can download this preview version of .NET 6, and you also have the iOS and Android workloads you can download here. If you want to, you can follow some instructions here to get it running. And here you can see how to run and build the projects. So yeah, if you're interested to try .NET 6 already now, I recommend you to go and read this blog post. Probably we will have to wait a bit before we have some really useful .NET MAUI stuffs that you can run. But if you're interested to follow .NET MAUI, you can of course go to GitHub for that repository as well. github.net/MAUI. And here you can find all the source code for .NET MAUI, a little bit about the roadmap, things like that. Another interesting thing in this is Blazor desktop app, and that is basically what we are doing in those streams. We're building an app with Blazor. We have focused on iOS and Android, but of course you can build for Mac OS and Windows. The only thing that stops us from running our app on Mac OS, for example, is that we're using Xamarin Forms shell that is not supported yet for Mac. But I guess it will be so, and we also will be able to run our app on Mac OS. So you can use the hybrid client app where you combine web and native UI. And if you have watched my latest stream, you can see that I had the Service Bus Explorer that I have built in that technique. We have a web UI, but it's running inside of the app and have sharing memory with the native code, so you can have shared states. For example, I'm using Xamarin Essential to be able to store things in the key chain on Mac. So that's great, I think. Okay, if you're interested to take a look at that code, you can go to my GitHub here, and it's called Tiny Service Bus Explorer. So here is that code if you want to take a look at that. Yeah, but that is not what we should do today. I will maybe show you more about that in later streams. I'm working right now when I have some time over to improve the UI. But we will talk about building an app with Blazor. And we will continue where we stopped last time. So let's take a look what we have done. So this is e-commerce apps that's selling fishing tackles. Right now I'm using a mocked backend, but I have planned for maybe next week in the streams we can do some backend stuff using Cosmos DB, Azure Search, so we can have a real backend. So here is the iPhone version. As I said in the last stream, I prefer to use the iPhone simulator during streams because it's much faster than the Android emulator to start and compile, things like that. So we have a first page, we have just a link to a product because we worked with a product page last time and we want to be able to fast navigate to that page. We also have a categories tree that we can navigate in, and then we can go to the product page. And we are also able to add items to the cart now. So maybe we need to improve the UI a bit here, and that was the last thing we did last stream, was to add this image to it. So maybe we will make it a little bit nicer. I think that will be a good idea. So let's do that. So let's open the cart page. It is here in Visual Studio. So right now we have a stack layout where we loop out items. We still don't have any support for collection view when using a Blazor Mobile Bindings. So we need to have stack layout. We could probably use flex layout if you want, but I think stack layout is very suitable for this type. There are some downsides, of course, using stack layout because we don't have the reuse of cells that we have in collection view, for example. But hopefully they will find a good way to implement collection view here, so we can use that instead. But for now, we are looping out each items here. So what we are doing here is that we are reading from the cart. We also subscribe to Cart Updated with Tiny PubSub. It's a PubSub library from my colleague Johan Karlsson that he has written. It's open source, available on NuGet. And I prefer to use that compared to Xamarin Forms Messaging Center, I think the name is. It was years since I used that for real, because I have never been a fan of it. But okay, it's okay to use, but I remember a couple of years ago we also had some problems. Things were running on iOS where it crashed in production when it was AUT compiled. They have probably fixed that now, so it will not be a problem for you to use it. But I prefer to use Tiny PubSub. I use it in almost every app that I write. At least I use it every time I need PubSub messaging functionality in my app. I also have used it in other applications, for example in Blazor WebAssembly, and it works fine. It's just a .NET Standard library. So maybe we will try to do this a little bit better. So I think we will need a grid. So we replace the stack layout as the the parent for each item, and instead we will add a grid. We will have at least 2 columns, so we'll specify that. We maybe want the image to be, let's say, 100. Then we can have the rest like this for now. And when we have a grid with Blazor, we cannot specify columns as we do with some forms and SAML. When we're doing like this, stack layout, and we go in there and set grid.row or column, is not supported. So we have to wrap it inside of a grid cell like this. Then we can specify column 1, for example. Then we can move image to there like this. Then we will add a grid cell around the stack layout like this, and we will set that to column 1. Okay, and now we maybe don't want I don't think we want a stack layout here. We will, because the fields that we need is we will need to have the title, we need to have the price for one item, and we need to have a sum of the price. So let's do like this. So in column 1, this should of course be 0 for the first. Probably we don't need to specify that at all because it's default. Okay, so we will have title will be star. Maybe we need let's say 50 for quantity and price, and then we will have a total price in the end. It can also be 50 for now. Let's see if that works. So product title, we can copy that. Then we can have quantity, or maybe price first. To string, it's currency, and we want to format it as currency, so we just set C. We can also add, if we want, decimals there. Then we can add a new one, and let's say that we use entry instead for quantity, so we can change it. Text. Product dot not product. We should use the cart item, of course, here. Quantity. And that is an int, so we need to add it to string here. Yes, and the last cell would be the total price. So in here we can, if we want to, just do like this, total, or can we, total, let's see if this will work. Total price, maybe we need to do like this. Or total price is item dot quantity product price. So now we will have the total price, and we can add a label, text, total price. Let's see if this will work. Okay, we need to add to string again, and it's a currency, so we add to string and pass a C. So this will be grid cell column 2, column number 3, then column number 4. Okay, let's see if this will work. Right now we only storing the cart in memory, and that means that we need to go and add the product to the cart first before we can try it out. Yes, okay, we have no price for that product, seems to, but we can press it 2 times. We can go here to the other product that had a price. You can add that once, and then let's go and see here. Okay, doesn't look that good, but we have the data. We have not everything on the right place. So let's see what's wrong. I specify column span instead of column. That's the reason. Now when I'm doing changes, I need to go and recompile the app, and the reason for that is that we don't have any hot reload yet for Xamarin apps when we're using Blazor Mobile Bindings. But hopefully we will get that to .NET MAUI, because I think hot reload makes me so much more productive than I was before, and I'm writing code in a completely new way compared to before we have hot reload. I used LiveSaml for a while also. That's also a great product. Okay, so let's add. I think we need to listen to change here, so it will re-render the UI when we changing the value in the entry. So on change, or must just on completed, on focused, on size changed. Let's go take a look at the documentation if they say anything about how to use it. Component references, UI built-in components, no. Here walkthrough, weather app, we don't, maybe not to do up there, we maybe have some input. Bind text, okay, they are doing that should be able for us to do that as well, but we also want to trigger change. Gesture advanced. Because here we have on click. Okay, let's see if we can on completed. I don't really know when. On unfocused, we can use that one for now. But all bind text. But the problem here is that we're not using a text here, so we maybe need to create a text property and bind to it instead. I think so. Bind text. Oops. Because we really want the value to be saved back to the cart item. So let's go to the cart item. We can add public string quantity text, add a getter and a setter, and the only thing the getter will do is to return a string value of quantity property to string, and the set property will do int.parse value. And of course we need to set the quantity property like this. Okay, that means that if you write a string value here, it will crash. So to handle that, not to handle that, but to prevent that, let's see if we can set keyboard. Or if that is not supported yet. Cursor position is password, is tab stop, return type. Let's try key. So let's see if the IntelliSense can help us a bit. Keyboard flags dot. Okay, let's navigate to it, see what we have. No, should not be keyboard flags. Keyboard. We maybe need to do this inside of a method instead. Keyboard dot numeric is what we want. Let's see if we can set it like this. We will bind item dot quantity text. Just see if this will work. We probably need to write some code for the total price to be updated as well when we change, but we can just see if the keyboard part works. Then we can go here and say that we want to use the on-screen keyboard instead. Divide keyboard, connect hardware keyboard. No. Add one of those data. Okay, let's see what. We still have the error message outside of the screen, but we can look here. Exception. Object type Microsoft Blazor Binding elements entry. Does not have a property matching the name keyboard. Okay, so we are not able to use that. Okay, that is not good, but this is just an experimental version of Blazor Mobile Bindings. So before it's production ready, I hope we will have that support. Okay, but let's see what happens if we change the quantity right now. Yes, here it is, add to cart. Okay, I disconnected the keyboard. So now we cannot do like this because we have a crash here, but the binding is working, that's good. We can also add some logic to handle so it doesn't crash. So we can instead use int.parse. Now try parse. Try parse. Value out int result. And then we can update the quantity. We need an if statement, of course. So if try parse quantity is result. So we will only change the value if we have a valid input. That makes the app don't crash at least. But it will of course be better if we have the ability to set what keyboard that we should use. Okay, let's add the product to the cart again. Go to the cart. We have 1 here. Okay, now we can do like this. We can have 12, but it will not recalculate the price. Of course, we can do like this instead. Public int total price is get. Let's see if that will work. If it will trigger a reload of the UI quantity. Product dot price. Return product price, but I'm not sure that will work. Quantity is double. Total price should also be a double. Okay, let's try run this again. And we should take the other product that has the price. Then we have to go through the category tree, but ding ding. Okay, we only have 1, even if we pressed twice, but that's fine. Okay, let's do like this. Okay, it's updated live. Okay, great. We have to work a bit on the UI here, but at least it works now. You can also add here else if string is null or white space, so this makes it possible to remove the value. You can set quantity is 0. Okay, that was great. Then that means that we don't have to listen to the changes of of the entry, because that is handled by the binding. That was great. But it still doesn't look that good, I think. You can open it again just to see how it looks. The cart. Maybe we need to split this up in multiple rows. Maybe we should just have the title on the first row and the other things on the second row. So let's do that. So we will add row definition, and we will have, let's say, let's make them both the same height. This image, that will be in both rows, so we can set row span is 2. Item will still be in column 1. Yes, but this price will be in, it will be in the first row, and it will be in column 1. Then we can remove one of these. Content text will be in row 2, column 2 and row 1. Column 3, row 1. And we also need to add a column span for title, of course. That will be 3. Let's see if we can make the text bold also. Font attributes is font attributes.bold. It will make it look a little bit nicer. Let's try to run it. Take a little bit time to compile, but that's great. I can take some coffee. And the only good things that it takes time to compile, that you will have room for some coffee. Add to cart. Yeah, I think this looks much better. Of course, we can work a bit more on it. Maybe we can, let's say, we can make all those columns equal in width. We can say that we want to center it in for the vertical, so we have all in the same line. So layout options dot center. And you can see the difference between Blazor and SAML, that we need to specify the name of the enum. So let's copy this one to all of the cells in the first row. Not the first row, the second row, but row number 1. And also for this. Yep. And what we also want is we want to have the total sum for the whole cart, maybe in the bottom of it. So we will add that. We can use the same stack layout, just to add more items to them, but I prefer to add it in an own, maybe in a grid, because we want the content to be visible all the time at the bottom. So we will wrap the stack layout inside of a grid. We will create a row definition and say that the stack layout space will be star, and then we will have a column under, a row in the bottom that is 100. But to make this scrollable, we need to add it inside of a scroll view, because we only want the stack layout to scroll here. So we wrap the stack layout inside of a scroll view. We also, of course, need a grid cell. So we wrap the scroll view inside of a grid cell, like this. And then we want another grid cell in row grid cell, not a grid, in row 1. Gotta come on. I hope you don't create any bugs, and I hope so too. But sometimes we create bugs. Anyway, and there are still some bugs, I think, in Mobile Blazor Bindings, but that's fine because it's just a preview product, or maybe not can say it's a preview product. It's just an experimental product right now. So inside of this grid cell, we want to add some content. In this case, we can start with the stack layout, maybe orientation. Also here is horizontal, so we will have not layout options, orientation dot stack orientation is the name of the enum, horizontal. You can add a label, text, total price, font attributes, bold, like this. And then we of course need to calculate the total price, and we can do that here. Cart updated. Let's see how this will work, because we need to even here listen to when the entry with the quantity changes. But we can create a new method that do this calculation first. Void calculate total price. We have a question here. What are you building för mäktiga grejer? Mäktiga grejer means mighty stuff if we translate it to English. Yeah, we're building an e-com app. In this case, it's for a tackle store. It's a fictive tackle store. It's not a real store. And it's just to have something to build on to demonstrate how Mobile Blazor Binding works, and it's also an evaluation for me because I don't have used that much, but have built a lot of apps using Xamarin Forms, and it will be fun to try out what we can do with Blazor, because I think Blazor is a really interesting product, and I like the way of building with components. So that's the reason why I want to play with Blazor and show what you can do with that. Okay, so let's calculate the price here. We need a double. Price 0 for each item in items. Price, and then we have item, the total price. Yeah, we can do it just like this. We need a property to build against, private double, total price, get set. You can have a default value as 0, and then we can set total price is equal to price. Calculate total price when we load the page, and also when we have changes. Total price. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, I have build error. Total price. It should not be total price. It should be calculate total price, of course. Okay, let's run the app again. Wait a few seconds on the debugger to start. It was a little bit slow now. We cannot use that one because that don't has a price. Balances. Let's add that one to the cart instead. Oh, here we have a bug. That means that the tab bar is on top of the bottom of the page. But maybe we can fix that with some padding, because I can see that we're also missing padding here, and we forgot to bind. I forgot to bind the total price property to the UI, and we also need to add a label for it. So label text total price. Then we can add some padding here. Padding, new thickness. Let's say we can use 10. I think we use 10 up here somewhere. Okay, no. We need to set to string here as well. C, because it's a currency. And this will be formatted by the current UI culture. Right now we probably have English and for US as our culture. So that's the reason why we have a $sign when we format is as currency. Waiting for the debugger again. So what do you think about Blazor Mobile Binding? Is it something that you will use when and if it will be production ready? Or do you prefer SAML? or maybe writing UIs with C#. Go here and add one to cart. Cool Walker answers my question that his code right now is on Hello World level. Okay, but then it could be good for you to see some different options how to write UI for native apps and using .NET. Okay, maybe we can just add another row here so it will be visible. You can probably fix this with some safe area code, but let's go with this for now. Cool Walker also said that he will prefer C#. Yeah, I know many people likes to write UI in C#, but I think I get a better view if I use in SAML or Blazor, for example, what I have created UI. Maybe I'm gonna code a Twitch extension. That would be fun. Yeah, and that would be nice. I have not tried that, but I have heard people doing that. So yeah, write something usable for me. It would be nice. You can reach out to me on another stream or tweet to me about your extension when you're ready. Okay, so now we have a total price here. Let's see what happens if we change the quantity. So let's say we just add a 0 there. No, okay. Now we need to figure out how to update total price when we doing changes here. One way we can do it is we can add an event in the model, but I really don't want to do that if I don't have to. So the best way would be if we can listen to changes here. Strange that we don't have a change event. Change on completed, on focused, on size changed. But we want it to be updated immediately, so we don't have to unfocus it first. Can we write code for this? Or what will happen then? Entry. Let's see if we get better intelligence if we do like this. Entry. No, just load from SAML. Okay, strange. Okay. Entry. Okay, but let's go for unfocused for now. Unfocused. Unfocused. Then we need to write a method for handling that. Private void entry unfocused. And then we calculate price. Calculate total price. Maybe we need to add state has changed here as well, but we will try without it first. Let's see here, the entries. Don't think we need that one. Okay, let's try. We set the breakpoint in the method just to see that this will be triggered. Oh, now the coffee is cold. So no more coffee for me during this stream. Add to cart, go to cart, change quantity, and unfocus. Okay, so now we triggered that method, and it will recalculate the price. And it also updated the UI, nice. So let's see if we change it again, what happened. 5, unfocused. Yeah, it will update, nice. That's good. Let's see what happened if we add another product, add to cart. Like this, I think we will change how the image look, so it will always be in the same size. That will make the UI looks better. So let's do that. Go to find the image. We'll set aspect to aspect fill. That means that we will always have the image in correct ratio, and we will have it to fill the space. All images will be in the same size. Maybe it will make some part of the image not visible, but I think it will look more nice than have aspect fit. Aspect fit is the default, and as you could see, it had the images in different sizes. We can also add a separator at the bottom of each row. So we add a new row to the grid. Then we can add a grid cell, and we will say it for row number 2. Add a box view. Let's go and see what we used for color. For a separator here, just light gray, so we can copy the whole separator. We can also create a separator component, so we don't have to restyle it each time. That can be great. So let's do that. We go to ASP.NET Core, create a razor component, name it separator, and just add the box view to it like this. We can go here back to the product item and replace this with the separator. Like this. Copy it and go to the cart and add the separator component. Okay, let's see how the cart will look now. Let's add one of each item to the cart. And now we can see that the images is in the same size, but the separator is just under the image, and that's because we don't add any column span to it. So let's say column span is 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to span over 4 columns. We can also add some colors of this one to make it pop out a bit more. So let's do that. We can add it inside of content view, because a content view will always take up the full space that is available. I can move the padding to content view. Background color is let's use color.light gray here as well for now. Yeah, let's run it. So let's add the products again. Yeah, like this. Total price. Here we also can add maybe number of items in the cart. So let's do that. We can add another stack layout here. We don't need to set orientation on that because vertical orientation is default. And then we can try to do this instead. Label and see if they support that in Blazor Mobile Bindings, because in Summary Form SAML we have something called formatted string that we can add spans to. But it doesn't seem like they have. Maybe we can do like this instead. Formatted. No, they don't have any support for that yet, so we need to create two labels. Of course we can add a variable and concat the values to it, but we want to have one of them in bold, so we need to do like this. Quantity, a number of products is a better name. Number of items. Then we need to have a property for that. Let's see if this works if we just have number of items. Items dot sum x dot quantity x yeah, it will just be like this. Let's see if that works, or if we need to write some more code for it. Wait, we need to add a binding to that property, of course. Private in number of items, but to string. Okay. Component attributes does not support complex content C#. Okay. So we cannot do it like that. Maybe so. Would this be better? Component attributes. Why? Okay, it was because of the space there. Let's try with this again then. Waiting. Okay, yeah, you just want to test quantity. We can use this product. Can change to 10. Yeah, it will update there. Okay, nice. So if we have invalid, it will of course not update. Okay, that's nice. So what we should do in the next stream is that we tried here to mix content, web content. We, for example, had the description added here as HTML and using the web component that we have here in web UI. Shared specifications, that component we use, but I think in the next stream we will replace the product page with a complete page written in HTML, so we can reuse it even when we build the app UI. Not the app UI, we're building the app UI right now. When we're building the web UI later, we can use the same product page even for that. So that is what I want to do in the next stream, try out how that will work. So I think we will do that in the next stream, and on the Thursday next week we will try to do some Azure stuff to have a more real backend where we can search for product. I will try to find some good data, or create some good data that we can import to a Cosmos database in Azure. So maybe we'll add the importer of products and try to export them to search. So that will be great to try out in the streams next week. I will do streams every Tuesday, every Thursday at lunchtime, 12 o'clock Central European time. So tune into my Twitch channel then if you're interested to follow my journey, or we can say, to building a mobile Blazor app, a native app with Blazor, but with some mixed web content as well, because my plan is to write a website using Blazor later also, maybe a Blazor WebAssembly or Blazor server. I have not decided that yet. So if you're interested to see the code or run it yourself, you can go to my GitHub. I will push it now, so it will be available immediately. Card code. So now it's available on my GitHub if you want to run it yourself. Thank you very much for watching my stream. If you have any feedback, please reach out to me. You can reach me on Twitter at Hindrikes. So thank you very much. See you next week.